Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and in this episode we are going to be talking about the newly released JustFlight's FSTraffic Ai Addon. Stick around to find out what it's all about and if it's worth the cost. If you are interested in acquiring any of my overkills tutorial guides or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides as well as any future guides that come along down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below, and thank you to all of my current subscribers. Okay, so first up, guys, again, this is FSTraffic from JustFlight. It is $39.99, $40. That is by far the most expensive AI traffic add-on that we have seen yet. Now, let's talk about some of the big things with this one. First off, it works with VATSIM right out of the gate. A lot of people are real curious about VATSIM, and it does work and does model matching. It is boasting a frame rate improvement. You have live traffic all the way from your departure to your destination, and it's supposed to be significantly better models than what we see from the default AI. So let's go ahead and take a peek at what we've got going on in the sim here. First up, a few settings that you guys are going to want to make sure. And actually, before we get into the settings, I also do want to make it very clear that this currently does not work with beta. I have found that after much troubleshooting with it today, I could not figure out how to get it to work. It would not work. And then finally, I decided to remove my beta access, and when I did that, everything started working just fine. So if you're on the current beta, just keep that in mind that it likely will not work. So you do have to remove yourself from the beta version if you want to use this. So let's go ahead and talk about some options. You're going to want to go to options, general options, and go to traffic, and you want everything to look as you see here. Off. This top line needs to be anything other than 0 or 100. You can set it to anything you want, but this is just the airport vehicle density. But I just left it at 1 as that's what was recommended, and then all the settings down below here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go into a busy airport. Let's go to JFK. And we'll see how this works. Now, right now, I just have the default aircraft installed. I don't have anything fancy. No add-ons, anything like that are currently running right now. Again, because I removed myself from the beta, and in my troubleshooting, I disabled all the other add-ons. Now, I'm not going to do a comparison to the default AI traffic in comparison. And the reason why I'm not doing that is because, well, quite frankly, the default AI traffic is garbage. We all know it is. Aside from, yes, there is a significant frame rate hit when you crank up the default AI traffic. There is also just the model matching isn't there. The texture is goofy. We see the aircraft do weird things. The other thing that's really awesome about this particular version is the ATC integration. It works with air traffic control. Air traffic control is also going to be coordinating. Oh, Tobii eye tracker's going. There we go. And let me actually disable that. And let's also go to our weather for a second. And let's tune this back to day. And let's go outside for a minute. All right. So if we pop up, nothing going on. But you can see, oh, perfect timing. You can see the injection starting to happen. Now we're going to expect some stutters and things like that as everything begins to load in, so we're just going to give it a minute, let it do its magic. But I want you guys to see how much busier this airport is. The other really cool thing about FSTraffic is the ground interaction. You'll actually see ground crew operating around the various aircraft. You can see, oops, excuse me. Oh, damn, I didn't mean to hit that guy, sorry. Let's go back up. You'll see jetways, like if we peek our head down right here, sort of a goofy issue going on there, but you can see it, it's working. It just sort of looks like it's cutting the fuselage in half. But the ground equipment actually does interact with the aircraft, which is a big difference in comparison to some of the other AI traffics out there. Now, again, we are at JFK. The other thing I want you guys to be aware of before we bring up the frame rate counter is let's take a look at graphics settings. I have my settings pretty darn high. All right, this is also in 4K, as you can see here. And I'm just going to sort of slowly scroll down so that way you guys can sort of see what's going on. I didn't even realize I was on DX12 beta. Interesting. Okay. But I'm not running everything on the absolute highest, but it is definitely up there. And actually, one of the things I don't like is motion blur. I did not realize that was on. So let me turn that on. And depth of field. I don't really like depth of field. I don't think it works well. So let's apply that. There we go. All right, so that's how I keep my settings. Let's go into general options here. And we're going to go to the developers mode, turn it on, and there we go, some frame rate tracking. Oops, apply and save. Now, keep in mind, 30 frames per second. One of the things that the FSTraffic video from JustFlight boasted was it was showing 62 frames per second, 60 frames per second with their traffic mod engaged. But that was also showing 50% usage. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort of match some of that. Now, one of the things that we do not know is we don't know what their graphic settings were. They specified their PC hardware, which is significantly less powerful than mine. If you guys are interested in my computer specs, they're listed down in the description. But let's go ahead and bring this down to, say, 50%, regenerate traffic, and let's see what we gain. So you can see we really didn't gain much. We gained about, I don't know, maybe an average of 2 frames per second. Really nothing much to talk about. Now, JFK is obviously an extremely busy airport. I mean, look at this, guys. This is very busy. Very, very busy. That is a lot of AI traffic. And to still be able to, if we were to go back inside the cockpit, I mean, it's showing 20 frames per second, but I'm moving around more than well enough to operate the sim. Now, again, keep in mind this is the default A320. This is not the Flybywire, but it's certainly within reason. And I can operate on these kind of conditions, and the DLSS absolutely helps with that in these particular scenarios. I don't normally use DLSS. I have it on for this purpose because I wanted to really put it through the paces, and I figured even with my 3080 and the rest of my computer specs, I knew that I was going to need the overhead. So I'm not trying to claim that FSTraffic is going to be able to do something that's just out of reach. I mean, that's just unreasonable expectation. But what I really enjoy about it is the variance of the aircraft. The model matching seems to be correct according to aircraft. And even the gateway operation like this one here, the jetway, going to the rear of the aircraft like that is very nice to see. Proper model matching and proper configuration that you would actually see at an airport. Now, one of the things that you need to make sure that you do is you come in here and we would set also our destination. If you do not set your destination in here, for example, say we were going to Miami, we would hit confirm. If you do not select your destination in here, when you get to your destination, so 2 things are going to happen. Number 1, you're not going to have any AI traffic, is my understanding, while you're actually in flight, and you're not going to have any AI traffic generated when you get to your destination. The airport will be empty. So do keep in mind that you do want to make sure that you don't miss that. Oops, I didn't mean to click on that. But the application itself, the installation process was extremely easy. There's 2 installers that you download. You unzip them, open up the folders. Both of them have an executable. Run the executables, and you're good to go. That's it. The toolbar automatically installs. It works with custom directories. I have a custom community folder directory, and it found it without any navigation from me. Just picked it right up and installed it. Launched the simulator. It's good to go. Remember, the only thing that I ran into was that it does not work with the beta. Now, what I am looking for here that I have actually yet to run into, but I haven't really been looking at long enough. I did do a flight earlier from Tucson to Los Angeles, and I thought I had some footage recorded, but unfortunately I did not. But if you guys look up there, you can see a couple of contrails right there. So you got aircraft already on the in the sky on the flight there. And when I did my flight from Tucson to Los Angeles, I had a couple of aircraft pass me by, so that was kind of fun. It really does a fantastic job, and that's the beautiful part. I can tell you right now, the reason why I picked JFK is because, like, at my hometown in Tucson, we're not a particularly large airport, guys. I think we've got maybe 20 gates, if that, give or take. Really nothing to talk about. Actually, in that little yellow dot right there, oops, is an airplane right there. So just to give you guys the visual that you absolutely get aircraft. And if you sit around long enough, I guarantee we're going to see aircraft on the approach and on the takeoff. Right now, we're just sort of hanging out and chit-chatting about it, and I'm waiting to see some ground activity from these aircraft. Now, one of the things that I really, really appreciate about this, again, is the variance in the aircraft and the different model matching. Now, the other cool thing that is the FS controller that is installed with it. It does not have to be running in the background, but you have a third app called FS Controller, which, actually, give me a second and I'll show it to you guys. Oh, there it is. All right, here it comes. There it is. So here's FS Controller. You can do a ton of different things. You can enter in flight plans, and that will help generate traffic along your route according to what is really out there. You can do some aircraft management as far as what type of aircraft you want to see, what aircraft are limited to, different aircraft types. There's all kinds of really cool stuff. I still want to deep dive into this, so I'm just doing a very high-level description of what this is. But it has a ton of different configuration options that are within the software to further customize it. But if you're someone like me, oops, oh, that's why, because I had it launched twice. I'm like, what happened? Oh, I can hear some aircraft moving along. One thing I did see when I was arriving in LA is there was a plane landing in front of me on my footage earlier. So it's absolutely working very, very well. I'm just hoping to see some action here since we are at JFK and obviously a very, very busy airport. Can hear a bunch happening, but I don't see anything. Oh, there we go. Let's go over there. And this is actually really good because then you guys can see the type of AI models that are being used with this. It's really impressive. There we go. And these are some of the best frame rates that I have seen yet in the sim. But if we look here, very nicely done on the modeling. Not perfect, but obviously it's not going to be giving what it's supposed to do. But that looks really darn good and significantly better than what we were seeing with the default AI. And I'm really, really impressed with this. They've really done a great job with it. And like I said, the installation process out of the box, I don't usually like doing a ton of customization for these types of things. I like to be able to sort of set it and forget it kind of thing. And this absolutely offers that ability. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do is, since we didn't see much of an improvement, I'm actually going to go back to 100%, regenerate traffic, and see what that does. Just to sort of see if it brings the aircraft further to life. The movement of the aircraft seems to be a bit better. It still has some of that goofy mapping that we saw with the default AI, where they sort of, everything's very sharp and very angled, but some of that's to be expected. And again, this is its first release. Obviously, there's going to be updates. You know JustFlight and how they operate, so we can expect updates coming down the road as time moves on. But they've done a really fantastic job with this, guys. Now the golden question, right? Is it worth $40? And that's really going to be subjective. It's going to be, how much does the AI traffic mean to you? What are you really looking for with the AI traffic? Is it something that brings a ton of immersion to you? Do you like being able to have the skies active? It absolutely does work with general aviation. I've seen general aviation aircraft up and around, and you can add aircraft into the AI injection that I was showing you guys earlier in the FS control panel. So the ability to add specific aircraft is going to make a huge difference as well. It's going to allow you to further enhance the type of aircraft that you're expecting to see in your particular region. The frame rate hit is negligible, so I can tell you guys that earlier when I was at JFK today, just testing things around, before I installed it, I was only getting like 36 frames per second with zero AI traffic. So zero AI traffic, completely disabled. I was at 36 frames per second, so I've lost about 6 frames per second at an incredibly busy airfield like JFK. I mean, look at all these aircraft. These are all quote-unquote active AI. Any one of these aircraft at some point is going to get rolling and take off. Although I'm kind of wondering where he's going. Unless he's heading over there. He might be heading over there. Now, I would like to see some more AI traffic on the move here soon. That is one thing I am kind of curious about, and if that's something that I've done wrong in the configuration, is I am sort of wondering why I'm not seeing more activity from these aircraft. Let's play around with something for just a second while we're here. And let's do this. Let's take... What was it here? Let's take this one here. And let's do this and see what we get. Alright, so now we've got some more ground vehicles, things like that. Nothing crazy, but let's see if it brings anything else to life here. There's another aircraft right over there. That's good. It's nice to see. What I'm looking for is to show you guys how this aircraft takes off. But I don't think he's ever going to. I'm not sure where he's going. And so that's one of the concerning factors, unless he's coming all the way over to 3-1 right here. Which is possible. So let's come over here with this guy. He's turning on the taxiway too. So yeah, I would say the only thing that gives me a moment's pause here. Oh, well, actually I don't know, because we got another aircraft over there pushing back. All right, so it's starting. It takes a second, but they're getting moving. Got another aircraft over here. Still holding at 28 frames per second, right about where we were. And remember, I bumped the traffic back up to 100%. And the nice thing is, like, for me, is I don't normally fly into the larger airports. I really don't. Normally, I stay closer to the smaller regional ones. Even, you know, Tucson is considered Tucson International Airport, but my rear end kind of thing, you know. we don't do much of that international stuff. We have some, but it doesn't really happen. There's another aircraft out over there. So you guys can see the potential here and how quickly it can really bring your airport to life. I think our big boy is going to take off right over here. But what I like is the fluidity of how everything is moving. You're not seeing any aircraft backing up, jamming up. You know, the 218 taxis at once. You know, that was one of the things that we saw in both FSTL and AIG, especially. You know, one of the things in AIG is that you'd see 5 airliners just start pushing back from the gate all at the same time, and then jamming up at the taxiways, and you know, things like that. So it was really quite a pain in the backside to deal with it. And you'd have the aircraft, but then, you know, when you see the chaos happening because of the aircraft, it would kill the immersion of having it. That's, for example, that's why I disabled mine. Is even though you can fly through the AI traffic and whatnot, it was you know, an immersion killer. And even look at this. This guy held short. That's exactly what just happened there. Is he held short. Go ahead and turn the sounds up for you guys a little bit now. Now, I don't see landing lights and things like that, but you can see flaps are set. So those flaps are configured for takeoff. The sounds are a little weird. What's this guy? 777 looks like. All right, now I'd like to see him get rolling here soon. All right, there's the stop. There we go. And a nice good roll. They're not taking off in 10 feet like the default AI does. And a reasonable climb out. That is fantastic. Much cooler. And we got another aircraft here. So there we go. Yeah, so it just takes a second. Oh, there we go. Now we're getting busy. Look at this. Now we're getting somewhere. But you got 2 aircraft there, opposing directions like it should be. One coming out, one going in. Got another aircraft here on the taxiway. All right, the airport's definitely coming to life. Now let's jump back in the cockpit for a second. And yeah, again, the frame rates are sort of struggling here now. But again, with DLSS, it definitely makes a big difference. And again, depending on where you fly, guys, you probably weren't going to have to worry about some of this very much. And again, being able to reduce the activity of FS traffic makes a big difference as well. Because, for example, we're going to go to Tucson now just so you guys can see the comparison. And we're going to leave it at 100% again. But the cool thing about that, and actually Tucson's going to be super quiet right now because of how late it is at night. But the nice thing that you're going to see about the comparison is what I'm trying to show here is the idea that depending on where you are, you can very easily adjust it. So if you're somewhere where you're just getting pounded, you can bring that aircraft density down, remove the air traffic, and then regenerate it. And then, you know, when you fly into somewhere like here, like Tucson, you can crank it, and I guarantee you we're not even going to notice a difference here. Now, some of this is just because we're still starting. There we go. There we go, 40 frames per second. No, we're a little busier than I thought we were going to be, but see, that's it. That's Tucson International Airport right there, guys. And actually, that's a really crappy scenery of it. I don't have my add-ons installed. There we go. Let's at least make it daytime. But again, so now, you know that we're out here, 45 frames per second. I can do that all day long without even thinking about it. And then here, if we come back over here to the GA area, let's see what we got over here. And we have a school bus. I mean, that's important. So I'm not really seeing any general aviation traffic. But again, honestly, we're picking sort of a quiet time for Tucson International. Missing the National Guard over there, which sucks. That's annoying. Even the tower. The old tower is actually right here. This big tower says Tucson on it. But so you guys can see the comparison to, you know, the smaller regional airports in comparison to something like JFK. And JFK was still absolutely, I guarantee it would have been flyable, guys. I guarantee that wouldn't have been an issue at all. So final thoughts are, for me personally, I'm really happy with it. I'm happy about the low maintenance of it. I'm happy that I don't have to start up 1,218 different programs to get it to run. It's a set it and forget it. And I'm happy that if I need to, I can very easily come in and, like, let's say we were having problems, I could just simply come in here and remove the traffic. Okay, so I mean, you have a bunch of options here that is easily customizable. If you want to regenerate, just click the button and everything comes back. And these are the actual aircraft that are out here. So it's really nice to see. I'm really impressed with it. I think $40 is worth it if you're going to be flying a lot. And again, it does have support with air traffic control as well, so you'll be able to get that extra immersion from ATC as well. So anyways, guys, those are my thoughts on this particular software. I think that they've done a wonderful job. You absolutely get better frame rates with it than you do with the default aircraft. Or with the default AI. The customization options are fantastic. FS Controller has a ton of options that if you're willing to deep dive, you can really customize it and get it to your liking. And stay tuned for future videos as we start diving into it. I will definitely be doing a review later on the controller and talking about some of the different options. But just straight out of the box, installing it and running it, I love it. I think it's great. I think they've done a wonderful job, and it's nice to see the airports come to life with a very easy to use program. They're definitely the best that I've seen so far, and that's saying a lot because, for example, FSTL I think was amazing, but this is definitely a wonderul program, but definitely a steep price tag as well. So let me know what you guys think of it down in the comments below. As always, stay safe and healthy, folks. I'll see you in the next one.